the way that I was raised, or the way that like, again, the way my parents raised me, there was something in me that didn't fit in the school that they wanted me to go to. They were trying to keep me safe.
Right.
So the school that was closest, that would have been a little bit more culturally competent, was closer to where she lived. And that was 43, right? That was down the hill. It was 43 across from the pool. So that would have been a little more culturally competent, but I probably would have got killed over there because I didn't even know how to keep my mouth shut, which is a problem that wasn't just with the teachers. I would think everybody was my friend.
Right.
So you have to be real careful with your kids. If you know that you've got a child that they think everything is cool and they can be friends with everybody, that gets you hurt, you know? So I wasn't, 43 wouldn't have worked for me because I was also a fighter. And I was about 2 pounds. So, you know, no way I was going to be able, those girls, y'all was big diesel down there on the other side. I couldn't, you know, I wasn't ready for that over there. My parents was like, you going to the Catholic school across the street because we can't. But it wasn't culturally competent because they weren't trying to teach us a darn thing about no Black history. And to be quite honest, my parents would come in there. My parents, I tell everybody this whole tour, I've been saying it. My parents are super Black. They wear like dashiki sweatsuits. Like they are koofied out. They got the jewelry. They serious. You know damn what I'm talking about. My parents are blackety black. Now, if you're going around these white folks, you know, they come into mass, you know, and all of that. They were just trying to be in community. You walk in mass and all these people are in there so nice and kind of, my parents busting in the door with kente cloth on. You know, it's like, it just, the people didn't like me. Right, no, so they treated me as such. Bad. They treated me like they knew that I thought I was somebody. Because they knew that's what must have been going on in my home. And I didn't have a problem talking about it. Like, what did everyone do it's Monday? How was everyone's weekend? Oh, I went to see Minister Farrakhan. Like, what? Like, how you doing? You know, that's not really like, you know.
That would be a flex in my school. Well, but I went to all Black schools though. So
yeah, in mine, it was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, she's too radical. So they treated me that way. And it hurt a lot. I couldn't really always talk to my parents about what I was going through because I didn't even know. You know how you feel it? I'm like, she said that to me? Like that, something's wrong with that, but I'm too little to articulate it. And when you're trying to articulate, nobody believes you because, you know, you're just a troubled child. You're always talking. You're always on detention. I started trying to get other people to say, like, didn't you hear her say, tell her what they said. And then the kid would be like, I don't know. I would have backed you know, I needed to be in school with people more like you. But instead, I was in school with a lot of Latina girls. And so they didn't know what the hell I was talking about. First of all, everybody thought something was wrong with me. It was just too much, you know. And why do you always have to start trouble? Just go along with what they say. That I heard that all the time. I still hear that now. Even as a grown adult, I still have people around me who will be like, why you always have to be so difficult? Like, just, it's okay. It's not that serious. But it is that serious for me because a part of learning about my culture was that excellence is what we're supposed to be striving for. And I'm not saying that I always meet that at all, but that's what I was supposed to be doing. So just being mediocre or things just falling apart or not being right, that's never been okay with me because I was being taught that we come from kings and queens. You know what I'm saying? So being in a Catholic school, I think I understand why people have to do it. When you live in certain communities, you have to do what you have to do. But you got to be real careful about, one, backing your children up, making them feel like you're going to defend them and fight for them. And more than likely, once you start having to defend and fight for them around certain things, you'll start being like, this is not a healthy environment. So eventually you'll say, I think I might take you out of this school. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful. Again, I'm a practical person. And so I believe that you do what you have to do to keep your children safe and to get them a good education and use the resources around you. But if you're going to do that, which my parents did do, I have to give them that. they became a part of everything. They was on the PTA, like I said, they went to the mass. Now they were showing up as themselves, so it wasn't always the most comfortable for the other people, but they were watching everything that was going on.
Well, maybe they did that on purpose to let them know that I do see you.
Yeah, well, if I had to go back, I would tell them just wear some regular clothes to the meeting. Regular sweater. Look, Mom. It doesn't have to have Malcolm X.
Oh my gosh.
On the sweater.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of joy. You know, I was, you were writing in the book and talking about you were playing with dolls, and your dolls had kente cloth and everything.
Cabbage for everybody.
But your life was marked by joy and a lot of trauma. Your childhood was marked by joy and trauma and pain as well.
Isn't that our story? Right?
Yeah. But and unfortunately, it's a story of many young Black men and women. And we carry this to keep peace. Right. Some of the same trauma that you experience, I experienced in my childhood. Right. And I told you my father is the youngest of 14, grew up in the Desire Projects. He's already beat the odds, still alive. Right. He's watching his daughter on TV every night. So he's already beat those odds. So I knew that in order to keep peace, you kind of just didn't say anything. You kept it to yourself. But you carried that trauma, and some of this stuff your parents are just finding out about into your adulthood years.
Yeah, like in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad he said nothing to me about my book. So first of all, I was writing a chapter one day, and there was a story in it that you may or may not get to, so I won't tell it. You should check it out. It's really, really a tough story. I had it tucked away for a long time. But it always would come to me. And I realized that now when I'm like out saying to people, oh yeah, this story, they're like, yeah, you told me that. I'm like, oh, I told you? Oh, okay. It really bothers me so much that I'm still talking about it now, but I've never really addressed it. And so, when I finished writing it, I cried so bad. It was a terrible night. It was a terrible night. The whole thing and
the five guys,
the four guys. Yeah. So it was just a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. So I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And when I finished crying, I said, oh my God, I have to tell my parents. I wanted to take it out of the book. We went through this whole thing with the woman who was helping me write and the editors. Everybody was telling me, no, Tamika, this is what you said you wanted to do. So you can't take this story out. And so I left it. And I said, I have to call my parents and my sister who thinks she's my parent. And I have to have a conversation with them about this. So I said, hey, guys, this is not going to be easy to read. This book is going to hurt everybody. And it's a lot of wounds being open. I actually called my son's father's family too. And I said, and they were like, oh God, like, why you gotta, I'm like, yeah, it's my story. And so, they heard me say that and they know because they've been with me through a lot of it, but I don't think they really understood until the book was in their hands. So 2 weeks before the book was released, I gave it to my parents and I told them to read it. Now, my parents are two different types of people. My dad, Andy's already laughing. My dad is my best friend in the whole wide world. My mother is too, but she's a friend that's like, you messing with that boy again, dummy. That's my mother. And my father's like, well, you just got to make better decisions. It's different. Right. It's very different.
Non-confrontational.
Yeah. He's not, but he says what he said.
Right.
And it's powerful. But my mother's ready to go to war over whatever her thought process is. So it's just different. And it's very important to have that balance as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I give the book to them. I tell them, read it. My mother starts reading the book. And then she says, I ought to get a switch to your ass right now. For half of this stuff in here, I told you. I'm like, Ma, I know. I'm so sorry. She's like, you make me sound like I was. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. My dad said nothing. Nothing. Party happens, release happens. He still says nothing. Finally, the other night, he said to me, I'm struggling with this book. He said, real bad. And my dad is a man of few words. And he said, real bad. He said, your first book I was very excited about, But this one, I was not excited at all. And he said, and it's being proven to me as I turn the pages, this is very horrific. And I know one of the moments that really is hard for him is I talk about my 5th grade teacher asking me to sit on his lap.
Yeah.
And I know and so when you talked about keeping the peace, I know that hit my father because he would have definitely, him and my mother would have came up to that, baby, honey, the whole school would have been closed for days behind that incident. But they didn't know. And the reason why I didn't tell them is because I always heard my mother saying, like, she, Black women, we just do this in the house. We're like, don't be saying all that while your father's in here. He don't need to know all of that. He's going to get upset. Just that. So I learned that habit, right? I learned that habit. And I understand because my dad would have gone to jail. He would have been in jail. And I didn't want that to happen. And I protected myself by saying no. So I didn't feel there was a reason to tell my father. Now that I'm older, I know there's another little girl or boy who wasn't strong enough, who needed somebody to say it so that they could be protected. Right. But at the time, I just wanted to protect my dad. And I know both my mom and dad have said that was wrong. It was the wrong decision. Well, not my dad. My mom said it was the wrong decision because, you tell your kids things. But you don't say that the teacher is in here trying to molest you. Right. That's not, but kids take everything you say to the extreme.
They take it literally.
Every single thing you say. So she was never telling me not to protect myself because at the same time, she's like, anybody try to touch you, you tell me and we'll handle it. Did anybody touch you today? Did anybody say this to you? She would even ask me, the uncle, like she would be very specific. Right. Did auntie so-and-so tell you this? Did so-and-so say this to you? My parents were the type of parents that if you were in the back room with the kids, other parents would just leave you back there. Mine would be back and forth every 10 minutes. What's going on? Opening the door. So she never wanted me to be in that type of situation. But I would hear her saying, you don't got to tell me you got your nails polished. Right. You know what I mean? And that to me meant we have to protect dad. Right. But in reality, I didn't protect another kid. And I'm just so sure of it because he was just too comfortable asking me to do it.
Yeah. He was really comfortable asking you to do it. But, I think about when I hear you say that, I think about the trauma that we carry. The fact that we carry that load with us and it goes, you don't understand. And I remember in the end of the chapter, you talk about the fact that that probably was the start of what became like a hypersexual or maybe a hypersexual teenage years. And sometimes we don't understand how that trauma is rooted within us. It was a situation that didn't happen to me. It did happen, and it could have gone further, but I stopped it. But
I knew then that grown men looked at me a certain way. Right. So then as time goes on, because it wasn't addressed, because there was no therapist to talk me through it. My parents didn't know about it. So I was just dealing with it by myself. Right. And at some point, these little sick things come into your head that you can't control because some sick person has made me an adult before my time. Right. So I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I could use this, that he thinks that I'm something attractive, like with another person, and maybe I can get something that I want, and that's just unfortunately what happens to you when you've been introduced to trauma at a really young age.
And it happens to so many of our girls. It's especially our girls.